As I am sure you are all aware of, the Zeo powers are supposed to be amongst the strongest Ranger powers ever. So when you look at that team's 6th Ranger and the gap in power between them, I think it's safe to say that the Gold Zeo Ranger is amongst the most powerful Power Rangers of all time, and one of my personal favourites, so I have been looking forward to making this video for a while. However, this isn't so much of a character history as it is a power history, because as you all know, the Gold Ranger was not just the one person. Let's get into it. The Gold Ranger's powers originally belonged to a lord from a planet called Triforia named Trey. Although he was not a ranger created by or in any way associated with Zordon, he was still considered the 6th Ranger to the Zeo Rangers. As he is the first Gold Ranger, we will cover his story before moving on to his successor. So Trey of Triforia arrived on Earth on Pyramidas, a huge pyramid-shaped carrier Zord that was capable of intergalactic flight. The Zeo Rangers first met with the mysterious Gold Ranger during their fight with an enemy called Wolfbane. He helped them emerge victorious from that battle and vanished. The Rangers were debating whether or not to speak with him, unsure of his true intentions and where exactly his allegiances lied. In a later battle, he informed the Rangers that Pyramidas and their Zords could come together to form a more powerful Zord. Then after the defeat of Tarantabot, the Gold Ranger disappeared once again, though he continued to help the Power Rangers whenever they were in need. It then wasn't long before series villain King Mondo and a bounty hunter named Varox decided that the Gold Ranger was too much of a nuisance and that he must be taken out. Varox pursued Trey relentlessly, until eventually he crashed on the planet Aquitar. Sestro and Delphine, the blue and white alien rangers, managed to retrieve Pyramidas. The Gold Ranger then began to struggle to control the gold powers, eventually demorphing in front of Sestro and Delphine. He revealed himself to them as Trey, Lord of Triforia. He told them he required help from Zordon. He was soon sent back to Earth, where he landed in the ocean near Angel Grove. The Rangers rescued Trey from the water, and after he thanked them, he split into 3 separate beings: Trey of Courage, Trey of Wisdom, and Trey of Heart. Due to the effects of Varox's attacks, Trey was unable to preserve his unity and needed to transfer his powers to someone else temporarily in order to heal and survive. With Billy Cranston only recently giving up his duties as a Power Ranger, the Rangers thought that they had the perfect candidate. The golden staff contained the powers and the ability to transfer the powers to another, so the 3 Treys and Billy began the process of handing over the powers. However, when the Rangers arrived at the power chamber, they were given the bad news. Billy explained that when the command center had been blown up, he received a large amount of negative proton molecules that meant his body rejected the gold powers. The Treys emphasized the urgency of the matter. The powers had to be transferred as soon as possible. Fortunately, Tommy believed he had another qualified candidate in mind. The 3 Treys waited along with the rest of the Power Rangers in the power chamber for Tommy to return with his new candidate. After a delay due to King Mondo trying to prevent them from entering the power chamber, Tommy returned with the new candidate, Jason Lee Scott, the former Red Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. The 3 Treys greeted Jason and began the transfer of power almost immediately. The Rangers had to leave to battle, and Jason told them that he would join them as quickly as possible. The 3 Treys then surrounded Jason. The gold staff was held over him and the transfer of power began. Jason became the Gold Ranger and joined the rest of the team in battle. Later, the Power Rangers returned to the power chamber. The 3 Treys had to return to Triforia to reunite their beings, but would return one day to reclaim their gold power. So now, with Jason as the official 6th Ranger, holding debatably one of the strongest powers ever, the Zeo Rangers were a force to be reckoned with. However, after many battles with the team, Jason and the Rangers came to the realization that his powers were weakening, along with his life. This was because the Gold Ranger powers were meant for Triforian physiology and not human. Jason was taken to the power chamber where he was analysed. There it was realised that if Trey did not return to normal and reclaim his powers, they would be lost forever, taking Jason's life in the process. The Rangers then took Jason to the site where the 3 Treys could reunite after a beam shot from Earth bounced onto Aquitar, Triforia, and then back to Earth. As Jason held up his staff, the powers were successfully reclaimed, and Jason's life was saved. The next, and also final official appearance of the Gold Ranger was in Power Rangers in Space. He was fighting on a planet that Rita, Zed and Goldar were attempting to conquer. He fought against them, but was eventually captured due to the number of additional monsters he was also fighting against, showing just truly how powerful he actually is. However, the next day, the energy wave that came from the destruction of Zordon's tube went through the planet, turning the monsters into dust and Zed and Rita into humans. The Gold Ranger stood cautiously and slightly confused as he watched them dance off into the distance. Interestingly, according to the Gold Ranger panel at the 2012 Power Morphicon, and a later unrelated interview with the triplets that played Trey, Trey was actually supposed to appear in at least 30 episodes, as well as be the focus and main character of a spin-off set in Triforia, which sadly never came to be. Would you guys like to have seen this series? I know I definitely would have. Now, in case you guys are not aware, in a recent video I mentioned our intentions to start working on some live-action Power Rangers content. As professional filmmakers and martial artists, it just makes sense. I asked you guys to let us know what you would prefer: a Deadliest Warrior style matchup between different Rangers, or an original web series. The response was almost split exactly down the middle, so we have decided to start with a few matchups, then eventually move into an original series. This gives us more time to work on our story and get it right. These will all be funded through our Patreon, so if you're interested in supporting these projects, check us out on there. There is a bunch of different tiers that you can choose from, and as I said, 100% of all of it goes straight back into the channel, not into my pocket. So that's it from me today, guys. It's so good to be back making videos for you all. Thank you so much for your time watching this video. Have a great day, may the power protect you, and I will see you next time on the 6th Ranger.